We're going to somehow get away from this and move on. I promise it will happen.
Anytime now.
Andrade.
Uh-huh.
Formerly Andrade El
Speaking
Idolo.
of promising to move along.
Well, formerly Andrade El Idolo.
They've sort of extorted that promise out of him. Look, you got to promise us you're going to leave.
Andrade had been La Sombra in CMLL, joined the WWE, was in NXT with Zelina Vega as his manager, became Andrade. He had a first name at one point, didn't he?
I don't know, but he was even more somber.
Well, then later on, he went to AEW, and that was sort of where everything went completely sideways. It was a weird run, which was like kind of start and stop, promos that you couldn't understand. It was a weird run. And then he was a weird run. He was told, do not punch Sammy Guevara or you will be fired. And then he punched out Sammy Guevara and wasn't fired. No, he wasn't fired.
No, he wasn't fired. They sent him home to disappear. That's what it was.
He stayed on the payroll for another couple of years after that punch. But he returned to WWE after Triple H took over. And with all the commitments and future projects in Mexico with AAA, and the way they've really gotten so many Latinos on their television show, he somehow got lost in the shuffle, and he was in the background, and you wondered what was going on with him if you wondered about him at all. And now we find out he was asked to leave. Any thoughts on this?
Well, I was one of the category who didn't wonder about him at all, because when I heard he was fired, that's when I remembered that he was still there. But the problem now is he the first guy that's gone through both companies? And they pretty much said, we're good.
No, Gallows and Anderson.
Well, but they're gainfully employed, I guess, with TNA, aren't they?
Oh, I don't know. I don't watch that.
I thought they were there with them. Maybe they're not now. Possibly they're just floating aimlessly in a sea of obscurity, clinging to whatever life raft can float their way. But nevertheless, the pool is small of people who have been through both the big companies, and both of them have said, we want you to leave. Tony's was just a little bit different in that he continued to pay the guy, but he didn't want him around for a long time.
But that's the weird thing. He would come back around and he would reappear on the show. I mean, again, everyone, even people that are in good graces with Tony, seem to disappear off that show randomly at different points. But he was there. I think he may have, as crazy as this sounds, he may have left under good terms. Him and Tony may be cool.
Oh, good heavens.
But we don't know what Tony thinks. Should Tony consider bringing back Andrade?
I don't know if Tony does think. But now, let's go back to the previous thing. Basically, they're not releasing the exact reason for the termination, whatever. People have floated wellness policy violation. I guess that's, possible. He doesn't look like a red flag.
Well, that's out there, but I guess what they're saying is that the rumors, when I say that it's a disciplinary issue, not due to drugs or alcohol.
Well, that's what I was going to say also, is that was one story that was floating, but then also it was something disciplinary. Well, what did he fucking do? I don't know. So, I mean, he's one of those guys I never got, because he can't speak. When they brought him back, remember we saw the first few matches or first few promos when he first came back where they were producing him. We made the comment, they had him slow down. They had him stick to shit that he could halfway pronounce. I'm still up in the air as to whether he's a fireball promo in Spanish and his accent is just so thick you can't get it in English, or is he a guy that can't talk at all? But I didn't get what made him stand out in any particular field that he's been in. He didn't stink, but he wasn't all that great. With as many guys as Tony's got, do you think now talk about how it looks bad if Tony takes the ex-WWF stars? What about if Tony takes the guys that the WWF just fired and said, we don't want you anymore?
And again, we've come a long way from the way Tully Blanchard got screwed over in '89, but it's a disciplinary issue that's not public. Not to say that Andrade may not say it to Tony if he was trying to get hired there, but do you worry about that? Do you worry about hiring someone who failed a wellness test and then had some kind of disciplinary issue? Do you worry about WWE putting it out there if it's bad, what he did?
Well, again, if it was a wellness test violation, and I think somebody said that might be his second. Somebody again said it might be his second, but still, unless it was like you were goddamn comatose in the shower, I think they would probably handle it a little bit differently than just you're done. And again, depending on what their motivations were, as far as did they find something that was normally not a fireable offense, but boy, we got buyer's remorse on this guy. Or did he do something that was bad enough? They just say, you know what, fuck it, but they've managed to keep it quiet. I don't know.
Andrade took to Instagram and sent out a photo of his hand, seemingly wearing an expensive watch with a pen in it, a piece of paper under it that just says thank you with an exclamation point, and there's a cigar and a lighter and a cigar cutter and a whiskey drink. A very posed shot, but obviously just to show his gratitude.
What the fuck is going on here?
Do you think there could be any issue, if not this in the future, with guys because of their lucha libre, what's the word I'm looking for? Because of who they're loyal to in Mexico. If you're a CMLL guy or from a CMLL family and WWE wants you to start doing stuff against them with AAA, do you think that could create problems?
Well, probably hurt feelings, but problems depends on if a guy comes from a CMLL family, but he's in a spot in the WWE where he is making literally multiple times per year, probably what his entire family was making working in Mexico. Maybe just spread it around a little bit. I don't know what to tell you. Normally, loyalty to promoters, when Vince was first running the national expansion, was rewarded and appreciated and or respected by guys, whatever. But now, does this poor schmuck, whoever this poor schmuck A or poor schmuck B or any poor schmuck in that position, does he give up a job where the middle card and underneath guys are making several $100,000 a year to, take up for the family tradition, when if a member of his family is working for CMLL, he may be making a tenth of that in American funds? If that, I don't know what the pay scale and the transfer rate is like these days, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens here. WWE used Andrade. I think they brought him back at the Royal Rumble at one point. They used that as kind of a, look what we did to AEW, and that's the way a lot of fans took it. Wow, AEW lost Andrade, not even dealing with the fact that Andrade was not a big player in AEW, but it looked good for WWE bringing him in from AEW. I don't know if it looks good the other way, from AEW's side, bringing him in from WWE after he was already there. But they also need anyone they can get.
Well, but no, here's the problem. They've got plenty of anyones they can get. They need some stars. They've got more than enough anybody they can get.